Welcome back to the Direct Response Podcast. I'm your host, Travis Ketchum, founder of Campaign Refinery. How's it going, David?
Hey, I'm good, man.
In the world of direct response marketing, with the Direct Response Podcast here, we talk about a lot of things. And one thing that people always kind of think that they know, but I don't think they actually know, is can spam laws when it comes to email. Are you familiar with can spam? I'm sure
Oh, I'm
you've had
very
it run around the
familiar.
back of your brain more often than you care to admit.
Very familiar with canned spam laws. It is the laws of what you can and cannot do with email and what is determined as spam and what is not. Legally, not what people think is spam, but it is like what you will actually get thrown in jail or fined for with email. Yeah, very familiar. It's just part of the game. They're the guardrails that you try not to bash your head against too much. But some people do it anyway.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the things that everyone, I think, is aware of real quick. And then we'll talk about things that I think people aren't aware of. Like you
Mm,
said before we started recording, don't say it too loudly in an internet marketing, mastermind or party, because you will get, your head will be on a pike outside of the door, even though it's
yep.
just fact. It's not like this is not opinion. This is fact. So the thing that most people are familiar with is things like having an unsubscribe link in the email, having a physical address in the footer, right? And there's some deliverability tactics we've talked about in the past about having that not be a PO box per se, but a real address and be visible in other places on your web sort of presence. So who is information, privacy policy, et cetera. That's just best practice. But the fact of unsubscribing, looking real, and not sending email to people that didn't ask for you to send it to them seems pretty obvious, right? But the things that are interesting to me about can spam is that it goes a step further in a way that a lot of us I think tend to forget, which is basically not to be misleading. So we're talking about the pretext headers, subject lines matching what's in the content of the email, as well as clearly identifying something as an advertisement. David, when's the last time that you said this is an advertisement in an email?
Never. Never. I have never done that.
At
Period.
best, for individual offers, I've seen it included in the light gray text in the footer.
Yeah. Yeah. That's something that it's called like there's an email marketer that popularized like the anti-promo tab where you put in a bunch of like a block of text at the bottom of the email and that can or cannot help uh get your emails from the promotion folder to the primary folder, primarily because you're reducing the ratio of spam, not spam words, but like more
Promotional
promotional
words. Yeah.
words to regular words. I've tried this. It does actually work if all other deliverability things are actually considered. Sometimes just adding in a declaration of independence to the footer of an email makes the difference, which is stupid, but it does make the difference. But you can actually say inside of this text at the bottom of the email that this is an advertisement, and you tell people that. However, I don't think that's necessary. It makes for terrible business. Um, and it's not something see people getting dinged for at all.
Yeah. Now, I do see when it's a major offer on like a big affiliate network or something where they tightly control the creative and what their affiliates are allowed to send, they will often include something like this. So I'm talking like a major, nationwide insurance
Yeah.
offer, Experian, Geico, like big brands that are working with thousands or tens of thousands of affiliates, and they are very strict about what those affiliates are allowed to send. Usually in that footer or somewhere on the image, and it must say, thanks to their legal team, this is an advertisement, right? Um,
Yeah.
but those are all also, in my opinion, intuitively, very obviously an advertisement because they're usually graphically driven, lots of branding and color and buttons, right? It's a little different than when we talk about the direct response world, which is what we tend to focus on in this podcast, which is telling someone about a product or service and, being obvious that you either earn a commission because you're an affiliate for it or that it's your own product and service. Like clearly, if something is for sale, it is an advertisement.
Yeah.
But by
Yeah.
the letter of the law, you are technically supposed to say this is an advertisement and no misleading headlines, which really would tamp down on your creative control for how you get people to have curiosity and interest to open the damn email in the first place.
Yeah, yeah. And the whole like subject line and from name, and you can't be misleading in that. So I do know of an email marketer who he sends out, you know, tons of emails every single day. So like his monthly sends are in the millions or tens of millions. And he messes with the from name all the time. So he'll change the from name, which is technically not can spam compliant. However, he does work with lawyers and he's like, no, it's okay as long as you're not like really coming out of left field. I have no idea what he means by left field, but it's a risk. It's a risk. Like, would this hold up in court? If you were to read it to a judge and the judge would be like, yeah, dude, like what are you doing? That's clearly misleading. You're clearly trying to scam people and make them think it's from somebody. Like if you're saying your email is from Elon Musk, right? That's impersonation. That's illegal. You can't really do that. People will still try. They'll probably get away with it because can spam laws in this country aren't super super enforced, but you always got to be careful because you don't want one letter from a lawyer to like destroy your day and week and month, depending on how big your company is. Because these violations, they can get pretty stiff. Like you'll be charged, what is it, like 45 grand for every
It's
instance?
$51,744 per violation is the potential fine.
Where did they get that number? Whatever. But yeah, like
Emotional damages, I'm sure.
yeah, my God, $44. What are they gonna do with that extra 44?
Yeah. Now, yeah, no,
Yeah,
when you're talking about the from name, the first thing that came to mind was obvious public figures, right? Like
yeah, yeah,
politicians, visible executives, celebrities, that kind of stuff is so obvious. You don't want to be guilty of looking like you're trying to dupe someone that you're something or someone that you're not. And so that's
yeah,
definitely a big piece of it. And I think the big piece here to really take away though is consent, right? The idea is it's can spam. So not only that you're sending content that isn't spammy to people who want to hear from you, but most importantly that you're not sending content that isn't requested or desired to people who haven't signed up, right? So don't go
yeah.
buy the list off of Fiverr. Don't scrape emails off of web forms. Like, don't do the shady stuff that you deep down know is not right, and you're probably going to be okay.
Right. And this is though where there is a gray area because plenty of Fortune 500 companies use cold outbound. They use cold email. They will email people that have not signed
SDRs.
up for stuff. SDRs. They will cold email people soliciting services or asking if they're interested in a product. And technically, it's legal as long as, again, like we said, it's not misleading. It's clear from name. You make it clear that it's an advertisement, which, again, that's such a gray area. And you give people a way to unsubscribe. That is really important. You do have to give people a way to unsubscribe in an email, whether it's a link or whether it's a statement at the bottom of the email that says reply here to unsubscribe.
Please,
So,
for the love of God, give a link. As someone who
yeah,
gets a lot of cold outbound sent to my inbox, please, 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 if you insist on going that route, at least freaking put a link. Please just put a link. That's my piece.
but yeah, so put a link if you do email Travis, please put a link. And pretty much though, like it differs from we in America differ from other parts of the world where we function on an opt-out basis and other people function on an opt-in basis. So in the European Union, you cannot send emails to people unsolicited for services or products or whatever. You will be seriously fined for it if they find out that you do it. Right? That is a problem. So you can't do that there. In America, they're fine with you doing it, especially if you're a politician, because these laws don't apply to you during campaigns. But in America, they're fine if you do it, but you do have to give people a way out. And technically, on the Can Spam website, it says you have 10 business days to honor an unsubscribe request, which is so shitty as a human being. If somebody tells you to take them off of your email list, just take them off the list. If you want to wait another 10 days, why, so you can squeeze more profit out of them, even though they don't want anything to do with you, like, come on, come on. Be a good human being. Take them off the list.
Yeah, and we talked a little bit before recording, but I find that the biggest abusers of this sort of loophole, really, because it doesn't take the computer 10 days to figure it out. the But the biggest abusers of this tend to be the mega brands, right?
Yeah.
The Disneys, the Foxes of the world, the whatever, because they are so large and they send so much volume that they know they can get away with it, frankly. And so not only do they not immediately respect the unsubscribe, I find they insidiously actually go the other way. If you tell them you want off, I swear this is true. I can't prove it, but I swear it's true. You hit unsubscribe and they will 3 to 10x the amount of emails they send you during that 10-day period to try to just absolutely inundate you with every potential thing in the book to hopefully ring a 0.01% bump. It's
Yep.
because it's to your worst segment of your worst people that don't want to hear from you anymore.
Yep.
Please don't do
Yep.
that.
Yep. Yep.
It's technically legal. It's crappy. Now, I know we're here to talk about can spam, but let's talk about the extra little nugget layer and that people forget because can spam law was passed in 2003. And at the very beginning of 2004, a second very similar law was passed specifically for a state. Can you guess which state, David?
California, Travis. It was California.
Right. Absolutely California, which I believe is what the
Mm-hmm.
eighth largest GDP in the world if you isolated it by itself. It's a huge chunk of the market and they tend to be, more progressive on this kind of stuff and they passed their own law which is already 21 years ago, which is hard to imagine. But it is, and they added similar wording to can spam, tightening up just a little bit. And so, on top of the nearly $52,000 per violation with federal can spam violation, you can be fined an additional up to $25,000 per day from the state of California. So, they really mean it. Do not send email to people that want to stop hearing from you, and please be clear about what your offer is,
Yeah. And don't be
unless you want to pay.
slick. You know,
Yeah, don't.
don't try and hide the unsubscribe link at the bottom of the email. I see you. I see the email address. I see the emails where you hit the space bar and the return key to move the email all the way down so the unsubscribe link is on the very, very bottom in the tiniest text imaginable. I see you. Stop it. It's stupid. It doesn't like I can go on a moral tirade on this, but let's push that aside. And just from a business perspective, from a numbers perspective, you're gonna get more spam complaints, which Google, Yahoo, AOL are cracking down on. You get more spam complaints, you're going to go to spam. And that means the people that do want to be on the email list or at least haven't unsubscribed, their emails are going to go to spam if you keep getting spam complaints from sending emails to people that don't want them anymore. Like this isn't rocket science, right? Just take a look at the numbers. Is it really worth rolling the dice for a couple of people that you want to email for an extra 10 days after they unsubscribe? Is it worth that revenue over losing your entire list overnight by getting too many spam complaints, which I have seen, and it is completely disruptive and it destroys a campaign and ruins your day.
Yeah. So to be clear, the way the unsubscribe process works at Campaign Refinery, because we are misers about this. A, it's an immediate one-click unsubscribe. B, we not only have an unsubscribe link at the bottom, which none of our senders can disable, but we also by default have an unsubscribe link at the top. So the very first thing they see in content is a little pill. No one here from no one interested. Click here to unsubscribe. We also support all the other tech hooks in there so that depending on the mail client or view they're in, they can click a native button in their email software that they're using to read the email to unsubscribe without even getting to the content at all. And as a result, we have an average unique open rate that is 2 to 3 times the industry average. Right? It's amazing what happens when you put in features that make you not a dick as a sender. That's
Yep.
kind of the bottom line. So there's the legal. That is the stick. Don't do it and you get whacked. Then you have the strategy, which is the deliverability carrot. Do above and beyond of the right thing and you will be rewarded with placement, engagement, and revenue.
Yeah.
That's kind of the bottom line.
And I think I do want to mention this. Another way I see people get around that is if they're like, well, my company has multiple lists. See, so they unsubscribe from one list. So we're technically fine. They still might not want to hear from us, but they unsubscribe from our offers list. So we're just going to put them now on our marketing list. And I'm like, God, come on. You know what you're doing. And when people say to unsubscribe, They really just want to unsubscribe. They don't want another email. They don't want to be taken to a menu where it's like, yeah, be taken off of one of our 7 lists. Nah, just get them off. They're probably not interested. I promise. I promise. Now, I don't know. I don't know. You might have a million people on your newsletter, and your newsletter is actually like made up of smaller newsletters where that might make sense. But for most people I see doing this, and they have that little list thing, they're not doing it because they got a million subscribers across 7 different publications. They're doing it because they're trying to hold on to people that don't want to be there anymore. So,
And more often than not, the intent of the user was they probably physically signed up once and you
yeah,
programmatically added them to other things based on interest. So, like, Groupon was really bad about this back in the day. If you were in Groupon at all, then they started adding you to like Groupon Local, Groupon Sports. Like, there was like 45
yeah,
different versions of Groupon. You're like, I only gave you my email one time. I did not give it to you for each one of these. Now, the litmus test for me is I call it the X test, right? If you told your ex to stop texting you and then they started messaging you on Instagram and messaging you on, whatever other platform you can think of, even if they're technically within bounds, is that something that feels right to you as the recipient? You know the answer. The answer is no. So treat your email list the same way. Does it pass the X test? If they want out, let them out and move on with your life. Like, it's fine.
yeah.
It's fine. In fact, it's better, but it's at least fine.
There's billions of people on this planet. You can sell your shit to a lot of them, and you can sell your shit to a very, very small sliver of them and make a ton more money than you can even spend with a tiny small sliver. You really don't need everybody. So let them go. It's not worth the headache. And it's not worth the letter in the mail from the government suing you. It's just not.
Telling you to cease operations and taking you to court for a
Yeah.
large sum of money.
Freaking A. Because they got the resources to put you in court. They wrote the laws so it benefits them. Their games, it's like don't play a game you know you can't win.
That's rigged. The house always
Yeah.
wins.
Completely. Completely.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it.
Cool. Well, if you
Don't
want
do
to
it.
read more about the historical archive that is the can spam law, we have it broken down in non-legalese form so that normal humans like you and I can actually read it and understand it and try to comply with it as best to our ability. So check out the link down below. If you want to use an email platform that adheres to best practices, check out Campaign Refinery and consider that for your needs so you can, by default, be in better compliance than just can spam, but actually positioned in a way to win. And David, what's the word?
Yeah, if you're looking into newsletters and you want to see, how to grow them, what investors are looking for, if you are selling your newsletter, then you can go over to wealthyinbox.news and check out my blog over there.
Very cool. All right. Thanks, guys. Take care.